feel like we're more accustomed and we've trained our bodies and ourselves to expect the struggle, to expect the difficulty. And we feel at times more comfortable there than we do inside of allowing it to be so good. So good. Welcome, bienvenue, bonjour to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. For women who desire to awaken their heartfelt desires, trust themselves fully, and connect with their soul's purpose through beauty. On y va. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. This is Marino. Let me adjust myself here. I'm sitting on my blazer. Actually, this is a super, super cute blazer. I'm really, really happy with it. This is the second blazer I've gotten from this company called Serena. And they're actually made in Italy, I believe. At least my first one was. I usually always check that. Let's see. This one is in Colombia. We'll take it. Super cute. If you're not watching me on YouTube, it's a super cute cream colored denim blazer, and it's really long. It's the longest blazer I've had. It's kind of like a trench coat look. So cute. All right. So as I was feeling into the podcast for today, I thought about something that I think would be really fun and I feel would be really fun. Every time I do a podcast, I always trust whatever's going to come through is going to come through, whether I'm interviewing someone, whether I'm being interviewed, or whether I'm doing a solo episode. And yet, I typically have an idea of what I'm going to talk about. What I thought would be fun today is to actually do a complete free fall and just allow myself to be led on the podcast. Just allow myself to right now, sitting here with you, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. No idea at all. I can tell you that I'm catching out of the corner of my eye something that I have on my vision board. It's cut out and it says the beauty of believing. So beauty is in huge letters, not a big surprise, right? The Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. So feeling a little bit of beauty, feeling a lot about the conversation of surrender and what it really means. And some of the misunderstandings that we have around surrender. Currently, right now, we're in our More program, which maybe you've heard a little bit about. I just released module 2 yesterday. It's a brand new program, which I didn't think at all that I'd be doing another new program. Not sure if I'll ever do one again. I don't know. We'll see what God has in store. But I just released a module yesterday on surrender. So juicy, so good, so potent, so powerful. And I feel like there is really a big misunderstanding around what surrender means. And it came out today earlier. I was being interviewed on a podcast, which has been so fun. Thank you to all the hosts that have been having me on recently. It's just been such a gift and such a joy. And we were having a conversation about surrender there too. So as I'm sitting here with you and feeling into this, let's go there to start today and see kind of where spirit leads us from there. So when we feel into the idea of surrender, a couple of things can come up. On one extreme, we can feel like a total setback, like a setting back, and almost like an apathy or a settling kind of energy, like fine, right? Just is what it is. I'll just surrender. But it's not really the essence of surrender. That energy is more of the energy of I am afraid of keeping myself open. And so I'm just going to close and be like, fine, it is what it is. And I'm actually taking myself out of the energetic connection with co-creation because whatever, it's just whatever. I don't have any choice. Fine. That's not surrender energy. That's settling energy. That's apathy energy. That's right. Not in my feeling and my expression, it's not full surrender. The other misunderstanding is that surrender might be something that's weak, something that's super passive, something that kind of can feel like you've given up, right? These energies aren't real surrender. Surrender, in my understanding and my experience with it up until this point, is a really beautiful, courageous energy of allowing ourselves to feel our truth, allowing ourselves to feel what's coming up inside of us, letting go of guilt, letting go of the energy of self-punishment, and really leaning back in a different way. Not leaning back as in taking ourselves out of the energy of co-creation, leaning back into, it's going to sound kind of funny as I say it, leaning back into life, a surrender to life, a surrender to the divine orchestration and intelligence of life. I feel when we are at one with surrender, our hearts are actually really open versus this idea of fine, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And we kind of distance ourselves or protect ourselves from life when we're in that energy. Instead, I feel like when there's an intimacy with surrender, it's a heart wide open of like, life, take me. Like, I'm yours. I don't really know what you have planned. I don't really know what's in my best interest. I might have a vision board. I might be creating fem visions. I might have a really great idea and some juice about my beautiful soul-led life. And what I feel is a gorgeous reflection of me at this point in time and my authenticity and spiritual curriculum, but I don't really know. So I'm going to move forward in the direction that I'm being called. And at the same time, I'm going to stay open for a course correct, for a detour, for spaciousness. Allow the spaciousness in life to continue to show me, guide me, lead me, support me. That's how I feel about surrender. So how do you feel? How do you feel about surrender? How do you experience it in your life? What's your current relationship with it? What are perhaps the opportunities and the spaces in your life where you recognize you're not in surrender, where you recognize you're in force or push or control or trying to manage or sustain something? I think when we're in, and not even think, like I feel the experience of surrender in my body feels very energizing and peaceful at the same time. It's like moving into the divine unknowing, meaning I don't know what's going to happen. And at the same time, what I do know is I do know that I know that I know that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. I think that's a really beautiful dance. I feel like it's a really beautiful, sensual opportunity for us, especially as women, to let go of the misunderstanding, let go of any kind of holding on, and really breathe into this energy of, okay, I'm yours, life. Show me, lead me, guide me. And again, it's not a passive act of like, fine, you do it. It's this dance of, I'm here to co-create. I'm here to be utilized as a vessel for beauty, for growth, for surrender, for evolution, for abundance. Show me. And inside of that, when I say show me, I listen deeply. What is my intuition saying? Where's my indie? What am I being called to experience as far as who I am? What am I being called to remember? Like, what is that intuitive pulse? Can I hear that? Can I allow that? Can I surrender to that? So if we look at this through the lens of the FemmeTypes, the indie, the aspect of us that supports the beingness, the remembering of who we are. I listen deeply, right? The FemmeType that supports us with increasing our capacity to receive. When I slow down and listen deeply to my indie and feel that intuition of, oh, Tara, you're being called to remember that you are an extraordinary designer, that you are an amazing mother, that you are a powerful source of beauty in this world, whatever my indie might share with me. It's then like, can I surrender to that? Can I allow that knowing? And can I allow that knowing and that reflection to saturate my entire body to where I say yes to that? Okay, God, universe, life, show me. How can I feel and embody that even more? What's here for me inside of that? Incorporating the friendship into surrender, the play, the prioritization of play and beauty in our lives. Can we surrender to play and beauty? Can we surrender to the prioritization of joy? Consider that, surrendering to joy. Like, we're often, again, taught that surrender to the struggle, surrender to the difficulty. Like, we set ourselves up for the expectation that, okay, things are going to be hard. I've got to just like grin and bear it. I got to get through it. I got to get through it. And I was talking about this on a podcast today too. Like, I feel like we've been there. We've done that part of our evolution. I feel like, check, been there, got the t-shirt. Like, we know how to do that. I feel like the next part of surrender for us, this is just my belief, my feeling. I feel the next opportunity for surrender as an evolution consciousness is surrender to the joy, is to surrender to the beauty, is to allow the prioritization of this energy to be one with which we grow into and feel comfortable with as a natural state, versus something we have to put on the back burner or wait until the work is done or some other type of justification or proving that says, okay, I've done enough. Now it's okay for me to enjoy. What if we rewire that whole thing? What if surrendering to the joy, to the pleasure, to the beauty is actually a part of our evolutionary growth? I like it. You know, inside my book, which, good Lord, you know, took me 9 years to write this book. I'm in the middle of conversations right now with agents and really praying about what the next phase is. So we'll see what God has in store there. Inside my book, I do coin the phrase the beauty age. And I really do feel like that's the age that we're moving into, that this, everything I was just saying, that prioritization of beauty and pleasure and joy. And it's a unique expression for every single one of us. So if you're listening, you're like, oh, I don't like whatever. It's not about that. It's your own unique expression and opportunity to allow ourselves to feel good. Because again, I feel like we're more accustomed and we've trained our bodies and ourselves to expect the struggle, to expect the difficulty. And we feel at times more comfortable there than we do inside of allowing it to be so good. So good. So just personally, I feel like that's our next level of evolution. And then if we look at through the New Yorker FemmeType, which is the allowing. And the allowing energy and the surrender energy is so beautifully linked. And yet again, the allowing isn't a passive kind of energy. It's not a, okay, I'll allow, not like us, again, not like a settling. What I find so fascinating about the allowing inside of the New Yorker, when we see through this lens, it's the allowing of power. It's the allowing of your prosperity. It's the allowing of this gorgeousness of your opportunity to experience this world in a way that's really unique to you. And we often don't allow that. Just the allowing of it. Again, we go into the proving of, here are all the things I've done so that now I can allow it. Or here's all the value I've created in the world. And again, I'm all about creating value in the world. However, what I'm talking about is this feeling that we have to prove ourselves first, or that there's some other kind of hoop to jump through before we gift ourselves permission to really have the experience that we're seeking. So, yeah, I want to bring that up today in the podcast. I didn't know I wanted to bring it up, but here we go. Here we are. And let me just see, is this is still catching my eye, the beauty of believing. And see what that might offer us all around surrender. I mean, I read something recently that I think is so interesting for us all to play with. And that is that the body follows the mind. This isn't a really new concept, right? We all are familiar with how powerful our thoughts are and our beliefs are. And yet when it comes to the body, when it comes to beauty, when it comes to our opportunity to facilitate the beauty around us, it's really easy to forget that what we believe we can allow into our lives is really what we receive, from our body to our external circumstances to our relationships. So that's how I'm being called to tie this in. The beauty of believing is to consider for yourself, what is it that you believe is available to you? And can you let go of any illusion, any misunderstanding, and surrender to the extraordinary, unlimited capacity for you to receive beauty in the world, in whatever way that means, like whatever beauty means to you. So there's my drop of a podcast, my Tara Marino drop in and see what's here, our surrender episode together. I love when I hear from you. It means so much to me when you send me a DM and Insta, or I get a message on Facebook and you let me know how the podcast is serving you. And it does. It means so much. So if you feel so inclined to take a moment and let me know how this podcast supported you, I would love for you to leave a review, leave all the stars, all that kind of thing. And again, I know it takes time for us to take that extra step. And I also find that whenever I do those things, the things that might not be necessary, the things that I certainly don't have to do, but that I'm called to do, when I honor them, there's such a flood of energy that I receive as well. So if you do feel called, I would so appreciate it. Tag me on Insta, on social, whatever, and let me celebrate with you and see you and love on you. I hope you have a gorgeous, gorgeous Friendship Friday. We are in March now, so it is time for the new. It's time for the freshness. It's time for that spring opening, at least here in this side of the world. And so as you feel into surrender, as you feel into this conversation, perhaps one of the things you can journal with and ask yourself is, if I was to allow, and if I do allow this energy of freshness and new and tout est possible, like brand new, anything is possible energy, what am I being called to surrender to? What am I being called to surrender to? Again, based on this energy of freshness, of newness, of anything is possible. So play with that, journal with that. Let me know what comes forward for you. And I will see you next week on the beautiful Soul Led Life podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Merci for listening to the beautiful Soul Led Life podcast. I would love if this message served you, that you support it and share it with other women who might benefit from really having their lives in balance with their FemmeTypes. And if you can leave a comment, do a review. I love reading every single one of them. And I would adore if you could take a snapshot of yourself wherever you listen to this episode and post it on social media. My Instagram is elegantfemme1, and I'd love to see you, share you, and just celebrate with you as you are moving into creating, experiencing, and claiming your own beautiful soul-led life.